Hi, I'm John Hovanesian. If you're asking the question shown here, what shall I do for my Eagle project? Well, first, congratulations, you're almost an Eagle Scout. There's a lot to think about here, and the Eagle project is a scary task for many people. But like anything else in life, it becomes much easier if you break it down into its parts and if you understand from the beginning what you're trying to get done. In this video, we're going to talk about just those things. We're going to talk about ground rules that include what are the rules for an Eagle Scout project, what is expected of the candidate, whom can the project benefit, what are the parts of the project, what makes a good project, who can be the beneficiary, and where the heck do I come up with ideas for my project? Two sources of information that you should know about are shown here. On the left, and you can find these by downloading them on the internet, is the Eagle Scout Service Project Workbook. It's a fillable PDF, and you're going to use the one that you create and probably have multiple copies of it over and over. Besides the form portions that you fill in, there are a lot of instructions that tell you the ground rules that you should expect for your Eagle Scout project. Now, most people never use the other document on your right, the Guide to Advancement, which you can also download from scouting.org. But this is the official document that lays out all the ground rules for advancement for the Boy Scouts of America. And if you have questions that aren't in the Eagle Project Workbook and you want the official answer that everyone should follow, you should find it there. An Eagle project is defined by the requirement that describes it. While a Life Scout, plan, develop, and give leadership to others in a service project helpful to any religious institution, any school, or your community. Now there's a lot there, and so let's break it down first of all. Planning, developing, and giving leadership. What does that mean? Planning, of course, means coming up with the idea, basically describing it, and having enough thought to describe it and put it together that you understand and can convey to others what you're going to do. Now, in the workbook that you'll be working through, the proposal section is the part that really describes planning. Developing goes a step further. Here you're coming up with material lists, helper lists, the types of items you'll need to bring, contingency plans if things don't go right, and a whole bunch of details that are in the plan portion of the Eagle Scout Project Workbook. Again, this should be done all by the Eagle Scout candidate. And the third part, of course, giving leadership, means giving leadership usually to other youth. Now, that doesn't mean it has to be. Some youth may be grown up enough that they can give leadership to adults. But all too often, if the primary people being directed in a project are adults, it ends up being the adults who are really doing the leadership and not the youth. So we often look in a good project for a young person to be leading other young people. A question that also comes up is, what if my project primarily involves teaching someone something? That is okay, but there's a difference between teaching someone and giving leadership. To be sure, giving leadership to others is part of giving good teaching, but the Eagle Scout himself or herself, if he's just teaching a skill to a bunch of other people, that may not qualify for giving leadership to others. So be aware of that difference. Naturally, a good conversation with your Scoutmaster or your Eagle Scout project coach or the district advancement staff can be helpful in defining whether your project is appropriate. Now, another important question is, who is the community? The requirement of the project describes any school, any faith-based organization, or your community. Well, the Boy Scouts describes the community to mean the community of the world, and so it can be a community that is anywhere in the world. So it could also be a community organization, either local or far away. Rarely it could be an individual, because an individual is part of the community. What it certainly cannot be is the Boy Scouts of America, because that is just a definition in the Eagle Scout project. So again, speak to your project coach, Scoutmaster, or the district advancement staff. What makes a good project are a couple of different elements. First of all, impact is the primary consideration. How much impact on the beneficiary is there? And that does not necessarily mean permanence. In the classic thinking, an Eagle Scout service project is building park benches, and it certainly doesn't need to be anything like that. But building park benches is fairly easy to understand because it requires discrete planning and developing, and carrying it out may involve giving leadership to other people. It also has relative permanence since those benches will be around a long time. But it does not need to be a physical entity that's built by a project. A project also needs to be feasible, something that a young person who's the age of the candidate is capable of giving leadership to and making it go forward without too much adult interference. And view my separate video on how much help can adults and parents give to a candidate. Naturally, the project needs to be safe, and its action steps need to be explained in a way that other people can understand it. And of course, we look for something that's reasonably likely to succeed. A project that's overly complicated or not likely achievable by a young person probably doesn't make a good Eagle Scout project. Who's the beneficiary of a project? Well, typically the beneficiary is an organization, a school, or a faith-based institution. But there is typically a person who can sign on behalf of that organization or institution. And what you should look for is a good, healthy relationship with that institution and that person. It needs to be someone who's available, who's interested in your project, and enthusiastic about it being successful. And there's a great section called Navigating the Eagle Scout Service Project that's in the PDF workbook that should be shared with the representative of the beneficiary. Because remember, a lot of organizations may never have had an Eagle Scout project before, and so they need to understand what is expected of them and what is expected of the Eagle Scout candidate. So be sure you share that section with them. So finally, where do you come up with ideas for a project? I always recommend starting with something that's exciting to you. Do you love ocean safety? Are you really into yoga? Do you love travel? Is there something in your life that is really important to you? Find a way by being creative to turn that into your project. Not only is it going to be something you look forward to working on, but it's something that you'll look back on for the rest of your life with pride that you took something that was personal and made it into a service project that benefited the community around you. Again, talking to the same people, your advisors in scouting, is helpful. But don't forget to call City Hall or call organizations, parks, or nature conservancies in your area. Anyone who's eligible to be a beneficiary might be a great source of information. And you'll often find that these organizations have projects in mind that they really would like to do, but maybe haven't done because they don't have the resources, the time, the money, or whatever limits them from getting it done. But when you come to them asking for a project, a light may go off and they may offer you something that's really exciting. So find those organizations whose purposes match with your passion, and you're going to have a winning project idea. The Eagle Scout project, when broken down into its separate parts, becomes very doable, it becomes exciting, and it becomes a lifelong memory that every Eagle Scout can look back on with pride as being one of the chief accomplishments of his or her youth. Good luck with your project. I'm Dr. John Hovanesian. Thanks for watching.